Hello, Sonor family. Jules here. As the title indicated, this is a little bit of a rant. Um, and I've got some things I'm going to be looking at on my screen here. So as we go through this, I apologize in advance for scrambling around and all that. And what I'm going to try to do is a start to finish without doing much editing or hopefully not any editing. But anyway, I just wanted to share some thoughts. You know, you'd think after 150 years in business, Sonar would know exactly what their customer base is thinking, right? I mean, you'd think that by now they could be mind readers. Well, apparently the crystal ball's in the shop. Uh, because it doesn't seem like they know how to please us. And I'm just going to make some examples here. They had the they had the cast bronze 14 by 8 snares available, and they decided to only make 100 of them because that's a lot of expense for a company if you make 150 and they don't sell. Then you got dealers sitting on stuff that they're aggravated, they can't move it, and so on. So they sold out really quickly, and I really anticipated, and I think that if you kind of consider some of the other comments and all that with other things, I think this kind of makes sense. But when I first saw it, I thought some pushback on that snare drum was going to be that they had not revived the parallel strainer, and that does not seem to be the case. It did not affect sales whatsoever. And looking back, if they had have made 150 of them, maybe that'd have been too common. Things sell quicker when the supply is short. So maybe there was some magic to that 100 instead of 150. On the flip side, the Signature and Sonar lights that they made available. Now I'm speaking largely in the U.S. I don't have my finger on the pulse of other countries and all that, so a lot of my commentary today is going to be specific to the United States. And I apologize for those that are watching from other countries. I just don't have the information available to know exactly what's going on there. But all the configurations of the Sonor lights and Sonor signatures, all the 150th anniversary stuff, is still available from somebody or another. I don't know if anybody's got them all, but if there's a certain one you want, you can surely find it. So since the cast bronze sold out within days of being available, or actually really before it was even available, and the 150th signature and Sonar Light stuff still being available, it makes you think maybe they missed the mark just a tad on the shell sets. It could be price, which is going by a poll that I did at Drum and Stage on the Drum and Stage forum. That was less than half was the price. Other things were the configuration. Uh, some people didn't like the hardware color. We can beat all this stuff to death all day long. The fact of the matter is, if they'd have done it all in chrome, somebody would have said, well, they should have done it in a special color. So you can't please everybody. Sometimes I wonder if you can please much of anybody. Which brings us to the AQ2. That's a beautiful drum set. I've seen it in person, and I haven't seen anybody that says they're going to buy one yet. The pushback has been relatively negative. They should have made it in Germany. Should have had it at a lower price point. I don't know how much effect the tariffs have in the pricing on that. So I'm going to be very careful about speculating. But I wonder, I'm just going to leave it like this. I wonder uh, if somehow something happens and the tariffs get relaxed between now and the time the drums hit the shore and are available for sale. I wonder if that will impact the selling price. That remains to be seen. For those of you who wanted a drum set made in Germany, you've got a chance at one right now, and you're apparently not taking it. So the fact you're complaining that the AQ2s are made in China, I find kind of funny because we've already seen what the pricing would look like if they had done it in Germany with the same specs and all that kind of stuff. So I know we're not talking apples and apples here, but what I did do is I went on the configurator. For those of you who think they should have done the AQ2s in Germany, what I did is I went and configured the same specs with the square rods. I tried to go as as economical as possible. In other words, there's no inner veneers. It's just a plain satin finish, natural finish. Uh, Ebony gloss on the outside, same specs. The only difference in the specs is, and this is trivial, there's not a 17.5 option on the configurator, but either 17 or 18 are the same price. So we're not going to have a glitch with that. Now, before I tell you the price, I will tell you too that on the configurator, you're looking at genuine ebony. So to go from the AQ2 to a German-made version, they would have been able to do genuine ebony. So that is a factor. But what you have to consider is to do the same setup that you've got for a $2,800 street price, which a lot of dealers are going to beat that. If you go look, a lot of them are beating it already. That pushes us up about $7,000. Okay. That puts us almost at the $10,000 mark. That's today on the configurator. That's US denominations. Um, so are we missing the point here? I mean, they've already put out a $15,000 to $16,000 shell set that a lot of us just flat can't afford. So what are they going to do for us that just don't want to spend that much money right now, or cannot spend that much money right now? Well, they give us a beautiful drum set. You can nitpick things like it being a replica veneer. Have you seen it in person? I have. And I got to tell you, if I didn't have a drum set right now, I've got an SQ1, and if I didn't already have a drum set, there's a good chance I would buy that. We're not talking the same as eating imitation crab or real crab. Real crab's got a health benefit to it. Imitation stuff, who knows what's in there? But at the end of the day, what difference does it make on an outer veneer if it's a genuine veneer or a very nicely done replica? I mean, really, in the overall scheme of things, I wonder how much it would have been if they had used genuine veneer. It would have pushed it up even further. So people are already fussing that the AQ2s are too much for a Chinese made drum set, but they wish it had the actual ebony veneer, and that would have made it even more. So I think we got a little bit of a conflict going on there. And I'm going to post this stuff. So here's the specs um, on the SQ2 if they had done the AQ2 as an SQ2. Um, and then also we're going to talk about the difference between the fusion set of the Sonor Signature and I'm sorry, I'm trying to think and talk at the same time. And would have specced out as an SQ2. So what I've got here, and here's the details on that. Pause the screen if I'm going too fast with these. I'm not going to leave enough time to read them completely, but you can go back and pause it if you want to see that. Also, the UPID number is on there if you want to go back and punch that up yourself. Double check my figures. Have I made any mistakes? I double checked and triple checked, but I'm still Jules and I still screw stuff up. So you may find a mistake. And if you do, I would like to know about it, and I may go back and refigure this thing. But if you spec out a drum set, right now, as you see on your screen, DCP has got the Fusion signature for 16,797 and 90 cents. All right. Go spec it out on the configurator and you come up with $15,131.97. So you're looking at about a $1,600 price difference, give or take. So, um, some things. The first of all, this is not an SQ2 drum set. It's got the same hardware the SQ2 does. Why in the hell would you use anything else? It's the most advanced drum hardware on the planet. Why would you revert to something else? Um, you've also got the different spec shells. So you've got a lot thicker shells with a whole lot of plies in them on the signature anniversary set. So you're not even looking at apples and apples again here. So, I get the idea that a lot of the reason we're not seeing more product yet is because of the tariff situation, waiting that out maybe. I don't have solid details on I don't have any details on what else is coming for as far as the anniversary stuff goes. I just know that, I think they're trying. I really do. And to pick apart everything, I think we're being short-sighted. And yeah, somebody's mentioned the fact that for $2,800, if you go look at other drum sets, there's a lot of options in that price range and below. But the thing is, it's just not the same. And for those who think the AQ2 is an entry level drum set, I've seen that comment. Far from it. Um, David Bowen is a jazz drummer and a Sonor artist who's got a house full of high end Sonor gear, and he heavily gigs the AQ2s. And you know what? They sound great. They're highly functional, very practical. I've had the AQX and the AQ1s. I've never had the AQ2s, but the AQX even punches way above its price point. I want to tell you right now, it is an amazing set of drums, AQ1s as well. So put that in the Maple AQ2s. You've got an amazing drum set. So, t- you know, there's such a stigma attached with certain things with especially old school Sonor guys. And I think that maybe it's time we kind of get over some of that. And if you don't like what I'm saying, I hate it. The fact of the matter is, it's the world market is different than it's ever been before. Anyway, in closing, I think we're not seeing the forest for the trees. You know, really. Um, I think the AQ2 is an excellent drum set for somebody who wants to commemorate, you know, the most awesome drum company on the planet and be a part of the celebration and all that. If you get a chance to go see the finish in person, go look at it. And if you go set it up and play it in public somewhere, or if you have people over, whatever you'd be doing that the caliber of finish would make it important that it be a nice one, nobody's going to look at that and say, I bet that's fake, isn't it? It's never even going to cross their minds. Am I going to buy the AQ2 myself? I'm not. I'm just not in the market. Right this minute, I only have a need for one drum set, and I've got one. And I'm not a collector. I've said that over and over. Anybody that knows me very well, uh, if I own it and it's not for sale right now, try me back in a week. You just never know what I'm going to do. What I do know is that I just don't keep stuff. I've had some really cool stuff, and sooner or later, it's time to move on. So for me to participate in something knowing that I'm going to flip it later and probably get less money out of it because I'm not going to hold out a year or two in most cases. So for me, there's just no advantage to buying, something that's got a value beyond my present needs. So I'll just say it that way. If I didn't already have a drum set, the AQ2 is beautiful. I mean, it's absolutely knock down, drag out, whatever, knock down gorgeous, whatever the hell the term is. Either too much coffee or not enough, and I haven't eaten since the last time I ate, so that might be a factor as well. But anyway, you know, the AQ2s, I think they nailed it for what they're trying to do. They're trying to target people that just couldn't do the higher end stuff. I think they've done that. I think we're really nitpicky about things. I think that that's something that Sonor's had to deal with for a long time. Uh, when they went to the square rods, people fussed about that. When they've, every step of the way that they've deviated from from the norm for them, the norm for them and the norm for the rest of the world were two distinct things for a long time. But things catch up, time moves on, the world changes, and either you change with it or you go away. And that's what's happened with a lot of companies. A lot of companies haven't learned to adapt. And really, I think it's pretty awesome that the oldest continually operating drum company on the planet is still viable. Not only are they still viable, they're building better quality drums than they ever have. They've got the most sophisticated hardware on the planet, in my honest opinion. I'm referring to the mounts and tom arms and that sort of thing. And they've offered us some beautiful stuff. And either we're going to be supportive or we're going to find things to fuss about, which is what we seem to be doing. Uh, I hate it because I think they've done a great job. And again, I've seen the AQ2s in person, and they nailed it. They just flat nailed it. The things are beautiful, and if you get a chance to go have a look and a listen, go do that. They sound great. They look beautiful. For a lot of people, that could very easily be the most beautiful drum set you're ever gonna own. And that's about all I've got to say about that. I'm sure after a while I'll think of 100 things I meant to mention and forgot. And I'm sure that somebody's going to have something to say in the comments. So, there could be a follow up. You never know. But anyway, I thank you for hanging in there with me today, and we will talk to you again soon. Thanks.